What's up, Longhorn Nation? We are back for another episode of Touchdown Texas. We are psyched today because we have a lot to talk about. The national championship just ended. Texas's portal class is almost complete. There's a couple more hours left to go. But Nick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well, man. End of the college football season. Always a little bit sad, but we have some other things that we can get into as well. Off season stuff. But yeah, another season in the books for college football.
Another season in the books. Sadly, we have to wait all the way till August again. But it'll get here before you know it. Spring ball art is going to start before you know it as
Yeah,
well. But be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you can find all our content. And then me and Nick like to do a lot of impromptu TikTok lives, just the big things going on, whatever. So we got on before the national championship game. But Nick, are you ready to talk about that a little bit? The Indiana against Miami. It was a lot closer than what we thought. Nick's prediction actually was pretty close. The final score ended up being 27-21. What were your thoughts about this game? And did you ever feel like Indiana was going to lose?
a little. I mean, there were some moments maybe in the second half that got a little tight. They end up winning by 6. Fernando Mendoza has a great dash towards the end of the game on fourth down that seals the deal, really. That kind of really encapsulates what they've been doing all season, going 16-0. So yeah, there were certainly some moments where I thought, yeah, they got a little close there. But really, like it starts on the offensive side of the ball for Miami, where they really couldn't do much, especially in that first half, where it was only 10-0 Indiana, but it really felt like it could have been a lot more. It could have been more of an avalanche, and that's what you might have thought would have happened in the second half. But that Miami defense really stood strong, and they did as much as they could to keep it a battle. And I know people are going to talk about Carson Beck throwing the pick late, but when it comes down to that scenario, sometimes that's just going to happen, and that happened to Ole Miss in Miami. Not an interception, but it doesn't always go down the way you want to. But hats off to the Hoosiers from going to a program that has not a ton of history really on their side. Not a lot of guys in the NFL, or not a lot of successful seasons. Even just a few years ago, they didn't have a winning record. I believe they went 4-8 right before Signetti got there. And then obviously the turnaround last year, they go round 1 at Notre Dame in the playoffs and they lose. And then here they are, first team to ever go 16-0. And it's pretty amazing story. But yeah, Miami definitely held their own. And there was definitely some moments they could have won the game, but it was pretty clear that Indiana was the better team.
Indiana was the better team. And Nick said before the national championship game, as college football fans, we deserve a close game because the last 3 years have been blowouts, just absolute annihilation.
Yeah.
We got one. And I wanted to see how Miami was going to survive the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, because that's what happened against Alabama. They completely blew them out of the water. That's what happened against Ole Miss. So if they were able to weather that storm, by weathering that storm, I meant really feeding the beast that is Mark Fletcher. Even though Nick said they couldn't get a lot done on the offensive side of the ball, their defense, Ruben Babe, Messador, their edge rushers, 2 first-round picks, by the way, they were harassing Fernando Mendoza all night. But Indiana, their running backs are so good. Hemby and Black, when it looks like you have them for a 1 to 2 yard loss, they'll still fall forward for like 4 yards, 5 yards. They're not the biggest backs in the world either, which is absolutely insane. And Fernando Mendoza took some hits. I love his mentality of doing whatever it takes for the team to win. They were interviewing his mom after the game. His mom was like, they asked him about running. His mom was like, "You're a quarterback, not a wide receiver. Like, why are you running?" But Fernando Mendoza, of course, she said it with a smile. But Fernando Mendoza does whatever it takes to win, and he's faster than people give him credit for. And he's and he can make people miss a little bit. He has some strides to him because he's a 6'4" kid.
He's pretty big. Yeah.
And what about that wide receiver, number 80, Charlie Becker? He made some huge catches in the Big Ten championship game in the second half. He's just a big-time player. And by the way, he's coming back next year. He has some eligibility left. So I was just impressed. Indiana's offensive line did just enough in the run blocking and the pass blocking. But they made the key plays when it counted. Those fourth down conversions, not committing dumb penalties, being efficient on offense. And then Miami, before I hand it back over to Nick, lost this game in two areas. The missed field goal towards the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Secondly, the blocked punt. Like you could not, and the blocked punt was a result of Malachi Tony fielding the ball at the 5-yard line. I know he's only an 18-year-old true freshman, but those mistakes compound, and Miami has been a sloppy team all year. It almost cost them against Ole Miss, but it came back to bite them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, you just look at Fernando Mendoza. He's going to be the #1 pick, which is going to be the Raiders. We'll see how he fits with that organization, a team that, or a fan base that really needs a lot to go for, because they just, I mean, there's Genty, there's Brock Bowers, and they just fired their coach, so they don't really have a lot of blue chip players in the Raiders. Fernando Mendoza will be a great guy there. I mean, he's also like, he always has everything right. He's really hard to root against. Like, everyone really likes Mendoza. So, and he was taking some shots, like especially in that first half. Miami was clearly trying to get in his head, or just trying to give him anything to get him off his game. And he took, and not a dirty shot, but he definitely took one up to the chin. He was bleeding a little bit. Probably should have been flagged, because it was a handoff and it was way out of his hands by the time he took the shot. But didn't really make any remarks about it. Doesn't really talk trash or anything. You know, it was pretty cool. I mean, he just kind of got back up there and didn't bother him or phase him at all. But that was certainly Miami's plan, is just like, we're going to hit this dude and hopefully he doesn't get up off the mat. But he just kept getting up and it didn't really bother him. And, you know, he scored the game-winning touchdown just at the very end. He scampered in, and so clearly wasn't an issue for him. So I saw that he took the same kind of hit when he was at Cal as he did in the national championship. It was the same guy.
I was watching that game. Yes.
Cal and, you know, and now in the ACC, where they've been in the ACC for a couple of years now, and obviously Miami's been in the ACC for a while. So I guess some familiarity with Fernando and some of those players, but pretty cool story for Indiana to finish it on top. And then for Miami, like, for a team that was so dominant last year and then completely fell apart with Cam Ward, not really his fault. Their defense was just not where it needed to be. Good for them to be able to turn on late. Yeah, they were a little sloppy, but I mean, damn, they're going to be the #2 team in the country to end the season just based on how they finished. And that's kind of cool about this tournament feel, is like, was Miami really the best team throughout the season, the second best team? No, but they got hot at the right time. And I think that's that March Madness kind of feel that you get. And then you get Indiana, the clear #1 team all season, and they proved it. And they're going to threaten to go back to back, because they are not done just because Mendoza's gone. You know, his brother just transferred to Georgia Tech, but it's going to be more of a Indiana showing next year as well.
No, they are retooling. They are a top 5 transfer portal class. Like I looked at their transfer portal class this morning, and I'm like, wow, that's a dude. That's a good player. Wow, like that's going to fit in their program. So
receivers from Michigan State.
And even the other player, they got a good offensive lineman that Texas flirted with, Bruner from Wisconsin.
Right.
And I think he would have, Bruner's a Midwest guy. And I think if he didn't go to Indiana, he probably would have went to Texas. So that was a big get for them. But they're going to be really good. Josh Hoover, who I watched some TCU games this past year, he's a good player, really good. He is underrated in my opinion. But I think that just in general, Indiana's run just shows you how you could retool from the transfer portal. Yeah. Basically, they brought the whole JMU team to Indiana, and then they made it to the playoffs last year, lost in the first round, but then they still retooled and got some really high impact transfer players. What they got the center from Notre Dame, Pat Coogan. They just got Jet Surratt's, their wide receivers, Omar Cooper, Hemby and Black. Their 2 running backs are all transfers. Right. D'Angelo Pons, the guy that intercepted the ball, he's a transfer on defense. So Aiden Fisher, one of their stud linebackers, is a transfer. But they find the guys that fit their system perfectly. And Signetti brings that hard-nosed approach of physicality and that feeds into Indiana. And I think next year, I don't know if they're going to win the Big Ten because Ohio State's still going to be good. Oregon's going to be
gearing
good.
up. Michigan.
But it should be really exciting to see. And as an SEC guy, I hate to say this, but the Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. So right now, you may have to put the Big Ten at number 1, SEC at number 2.
I mean, I think they were number 1 going into the season. I think anytime, you win one championship, let's say Miami won, I don't think you would go, oh, the ACC is the king of the, king of the college football because one team won a championship. But I think when you go back to back, I think you can certainly say that.
Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana.
And then you go back to back to back. I mean, I think they're definitely on a run. I mean, the SEC went on a run where they went, they won 7 or 8 at one point in a row. So it's a similar thing. And you also got to think it's not just one team winning the championship. You also had Washington, which I believe was Washington in the Big Ten at the time of the semifinal. So Washington in the semifinal. You have Michigan winning a title. You have a lot of these other teams that are flirting and not necessarily getting there, like in Oregon, who was another semifinal team this year. So it's not just the team hoisting it at the very end. There's a lot of good quality Big Ten teams. And sometimes the SEC, yes, there's a lot of talent. And yes, there's a lot of talent in the NFL. But we can be a little top heavy.
And they beat up on each other.
If you go top to bottom in the Big Ten, it's pretty strong. Like, you're going to have some weaker teams, of course, but in the SEC, there can be some times where it's just, not always as strong and maybe not even as strong at the top, clearly, over the last few years. So, yeah, they're definitely kings right now.
I think the SEC beats up on each other during the regular season because they're still the more physical league, in my opinion, than the Big Ten is. And both sides of the football. So that means they beat up on each other, and the SEC team has not even made the national championship game in the past 3 years. Like, that's the kind of crazy part about it. I think, you're right. The bottom of the SEC, the Mississippi States, the Kentuckys, they're not very good teams. But just in general, that's something that SEC kind of needs to look at because to a comparison, the Big Ten teams, of course, Ohio State and Oregon are very talented, but they rely on a little bit more transfers than the Georgias, the Alabamas, the top of the SEC teams. SEC teams rely more on the blue chip 3-and-done recruits a little bit. And when you're in these playoff games, when a team is 23, 24 years old average compared to 19, 20-year-olds, those kind of results show themselves a little bit. So let's see if the SEC teams, especially the top, you see LSU's embracing the transfer portal a little bit more. Ole Miss is, maybe Georgia. Let's see how Kirby Smart in Georgia, what they do. Texas, of course, we know has a really good portal class that we're about to talk about. But it's just a very interesting dynamic to look at and study. But let's talk about Texas is portal class. So I'm going to read all the names. And then we're going to talk about the big fish in the portal class first is Cam Coleman. But, of course, Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers, Cam Coleman, Jonte Newman from A&M, by the way, Dylan Skoworski, Michael Manassas, Ian Griffard, Zion Williams, Rasheem Biles, Justin Cryer, Bo Masco, Trey Dubich, Gianni Spektic, and Mac Chumanento. Let's talk about the big fish first, Nick. Cam Coleman. What do you think his impact is going to be on the 40 acres?
I mean, I think it's another immediate impact. I mean, this dude is big. He's physical. I think the first thing that you think of is his physicality. I mean, I think if you just pull up his highlight tape, there's one, against Arkansas where he's getting draped and dragged all over the field, and he is still coming up with massive receptions and pulling him down. And again, we've talked about this over and over again, but there wasn't a lot of consistency over at Auburn over the last 2 years in terms of their play calling, in terms of the play caller, in terms of the guy throwing him the ball. There's been multiple guys starting, not even due to injury, really just due to play. And now you get an experienced head coach in Sarkisian. You get an experienced guy in Arch Manning. And then the other part is like he will not have to be the guy. You have another guy on your outside named Ryan Wingo, and I think that's going to shore him up. And then you also have Emmett Mosley. So I think it's a win-win for both. Cam Coleman is going to have his best year. Everyone wants to talk about the numbers. That's all I see on Twitter is the numbers, right? Let me look at it right now. I have it all pulled up. 5 touchdowns, which was 106. 708 yards, and then, which was 104th, and 56 catches, which was 87th. I think that's normal when you have a team that's not as loaded as other teams, right? I mean, they can afford, they being other teams, whether it's the Auburns, the Kentuckys, whoever's playing Auburn can double team him, right? Or have a safety over the top, or have a slide. There was no other threat on that field to really take away from him. So maybe his numbers are, I think he'll double in touchdowns. I think he'll have 10 touchdowns for Texas. Now, the yards, we don't know, because that could be spread out over among the guys. You really just have to watch the games to see how effective they can be. It's not always about the numbers. It's about when these numbers are actually happening. But he's an immediate impact. And it's not like we get him late in the season, or he's a freshman, or this dude's played some football. He's played in big-time games. He's played in the SEC. He plays so much, and he puts his heart on his sleeve. I think he's going to be a great fit. And it's just going to be awesome to have him in there. I think Sark is becoming the guy that schools are looking at, or players are looking at, if they're wide receivers. There's now becoming a nice little history with getting the top guys: A.D. Mitchell, Matthew Golden, Cam Coleman. We've started a nice little trend here. Every year we're starting to get a guy, and they've been major contributors. And I think we only had all of those guys for a year, right? Or did we have some of those guys? Years.
No, pretty much. We had him for a year. A.D. Mitchell was a 1 year rental. Yeah, pretty much.
Matthew Golden, was he 2 years?
No, 1 year. He was just a 1 year guy.
Oh, 1 year. And then Cam Coleman 1 year. And their draft stock went up. Matthew Golden wasn't a first-round pick in Houston. He was probably a third-round pick in Houston. Then he came to Texas. And
if even that, he would have been a later round pick.
Right, if even that. And he was really good at Houston. But, we'll see where this goes. But I think he's going to be a great fit, and probably one of the better additions to any college football team this season.
And then, Nick, go on to what you're saying before about Aggie fans trying to say that, we didn't want Cam Coleman and all that stuff.
I don't know if that's really the majority. I've seen that from some people on Twitter saying, we didn't really want him, or Texas overpaid and everything like that. I know that's what you want to say now. I think it's just, we know you don't have to dodge it. He's a talented guy, and everybody was going after him. Alabama hosted him. USC hosted him. Texas Tech threw a bag at him. And that was really who I was afraid that he would go to, is Texas Tech. Obviously, he chose Texas. And again, it's not even about that. It's more about, if you look at what he actually wanted and what was on his wish list, he's not going to be wooed by anybody. He played it in a big-time SEC program, even though they're not where they want to be right now. Auburn still knows how to do things, right, at a high level, and they've won a championship, several championships. And so, what they can do. He's not going to be flaunted by that kind of stuff. And you look at the quarterback, you look at the receiving core, you look at the success of the last few years. Texas made the most sense. Arch is better than Marcel Reed. It's a better fit. And we can even get him on like jet sweeps that we used to do with Isaiah Bond. And I saw that come up on my timeline today and just forgot how fast Isaiah Bond was.
Yeah.
He just freaking ran by against Florida. The game we were in, freaking killed him that day. So it's going to be an amazing addition. Most Aggie fans, I don't think like that. I think some of them are, or most of them are being like, no, we all wanted him. And, he just went a different direction. So I think that's all there's to say about that.
And Aggies didn't even finish in their top two. It came down to Texas and Texas Tech. Texas Tech fans were devastated. They actually thought they had him because they needed to upgrade their wide receivers a little bit, watching them this year and in the playoffs. I am so excited that Cam Coleman, he's been, by the way, on the 40 acres as we speak right now. He is the number one wide receiver that we've not had, in my opinion, since Matthew Golden left, Xavier Worthy. He's a guy that can get yards, draw so much attention. He is a big physical specimen, the prototypical wide receiver that NFL teams covet. He's very physical. He can high point the ball. And then when he does catch it, he can break tackles and get yards after catch. He's also really good at the underneath routes. He can, the intermediate routes, the slants, the curl route, but also he can just go deep and catch a big pass, and he can make big plays for you. He made big plays despite not having a stable quarterback room at Auburn. Imagine what he's going to do with one of the best quarterbacks in the country with Arch Manning. So I'm really psyched about this. Xavier Worthy type of player, Matthew Golden type of player, in my opinion. It's going to really open up the field for Mosley as well as Wingo. They're going to get the second and third corners. They're going to get favorable matchups that they can really feast on. And this Texas offense is going to be really difficult to stop with Smothers, Malik Brown at running back, our offensive line. Like, good luck. We're just going to have so many weapons. Cam Coleman is going to be either the first or second wide receiver taken in the NFL draft, depending on what kind of preferences the GMs have with Jeremiah Smith. I think he's right below Jeremiah Smith, but he has a chance to really put himself on the map. So really excited about this. And you could tell he loves his decision. And this is the best business decision that Cam Coleman could have made, because he's not only looking at the football field, Nick, he's also looking at branding opportunities, post-playing opportunities. Well, a big city like Austin, Texas, where you can really market yourself and maximize your NIL opportunity. There's just all around things that he could take advantage of playing on the 40 acres. So this is a huge fit, and he was the number one non-quarterback player in the transfer portal, and he's officially a Texas Longhorn, and we're going to enjoy him for this next year, because a year after this, he is going to be going to the NFL draft. So let's go back to that list that I pointed out a little earlier. So besides Cam Coleman, Nick, what is one transfer portal commitment that you think that can make a really big impact that fans should know?
I think it's two guys also on the opposite side of the ball. I think it's Malik Brown, Arizona State, and then Hollywood Smothers. I'll talk more about Hollywood Smothers, but it's two guys that's going to get a lot of playing time to me, both with a lot of, or with Hollywood Smothers, a lot of burst. And I think that's really important. You know, you're losing a lot. You know, Christian Clark, who was probably going to be one of the guys that was going to be part of this offense this year. Obviously, he's going to transfer, and he's going to South Carolina just because too many cooks in the kitchen at this point. We're signing guys, and, you know, he's going to be the third string or fourth string guy at this point. So Hollywood Smothers, coming from NC State, one of the best backs in the ACC, came flat out fly. And I think that's important when he's able to hit the holes. All you got to do is watch the highlight tape and just watch. He's such a burner, which again, with this kind, we've talked about before, when you have sort of a basketball team as an offense, you know, you have Arch Manning, then you have, you know, Smothers would be kind of like, or, you know, like a point guard or a guard. You have all these different options, and then you have the trees that you can just throw it up to and they can run in Wingo and Coleman. So I think this would be great for the offense. I think it'll be great for screens, and it'll help our offensive line as well, which we've signed a few. I think we also, like we talked about before, is there's development that's happening right now, and they're not going to be what they were last year. They're going to improve. But I also think when you have so much options and you can get the ball up quick, or you have so many different facets to your offense, that can help a developing offensive line as well. Doing a screen game, it can be very scary for the defense. If you have Arch Manning, if you have all these receivers that can come through, and then you have all these running backs, Malik Brown and Hollywood Smothers, who can do all sorts of things, catch the ball, burst, and do all these sorts of amazing things that make things even easier for a Cam Coleman, for an Arch Manning, for a Ryan Wingo. So I'm really excited to see these running backs play. We also have some freshmen that will get some playing time as well. So unfortunate for Christian Clark. I'm happy to see him. You know, he's going to go to South Carolina and hopefully get a chance to start and play a lot. I'm sure that's why he moved on, and he's going to the Gamecocks, still playing in SEC play. You know, CJ Baxter, he's gone. He's at Kentucky. So necessary moves that we had to make, and we capitalized. There was a lot of thought about getting Jaden Bond from Florida. He stayed because we got their running backs coach, but he ended up staying. And then the Louisville running back, who we really thought we were going to get, but he ends up staying.
Oh, Isaac Brown. Yeah.
Isaac Brown, he ends up staying, but we still get two home run guys here, some of the best in the class as far as running back transfers, and I think they're home run gets for the Longhorns.
They are home run gets. Hollywood Smothers with first team All ACC. Malik Brown started his career at USC in 2022 with Lincoln Riley, moved on to Arizona State, had a really high impact game. So I'm really excited about these two running backs. So I think they're going to contribute a lot for sure and be playmakers. My two guys I'm going to go to, what about the Pitt linebacker, Rasheem Biles? I think he's number two personally to me, behind Cam Coleman. This guy is a total stud. I watched Pittsburgh 3 to 4 times this year. The Georgia Tech game, I watched them against Notre Dame. He is a guy that flies all around the football. Think of him like an Anthony Hill type of player, sideline to sideline, big physical, loves to hit, plays with a high motor, a lot of energy. He's just a high impact, high stats guy that's going to come in, and he's most likely going to be our linebacker one immediately. Him and Ty Anthony Smith are going to play a lot together, and then they're going to sub in Tyler Atkinson in certain packages. Good luck, because in the SEC, in my opinion, linebacker is the most important position on the defense, of course, behind the defensive line. So really excited for this kid. When he first entered that transfer portal, Ohio State was flirting with him, and he was going to go to Ohio State, but he took the visit to Texas and decided Texas was the place to be. So shout out to Rasheem Biles. Cannot wait to watch him play. The other high impact transfer player, what about Melvin Sayani from Wake Forest? He's originally from Canada. This guy is a really good player. He's going to project as a right tackle. They're going to move Brandon Baker inside to right guard, and then Trevor Gooseby, who's coming back, is going to be the left tackle, and then they need to still figure out the right guard and center position. This guy allowed 0 total sacks last year at Wake Forest. He's a big guy that moves really well in space. Wake Forest use him a lot as a puller in the run game, so he's big, fast, and athletic. When he gets his hands on you and punches you, you completely go back. That's just how big and strong this kid is. He still has room for a little bit more development. His technique could be a little bit better based on his size, but hopefully Kyle Flood can shore that up. And one other thing about him is at times he gets a little bit too grabby when he doesn't need to be. So that's just something he needs to improve on. But this guy is going to be our left tackle, and he committed to us first before Jordan Seaton, the Colorado transfer, could even visit Texas, and then we completely backed off the Jordan Seaton sweepstakes because we landed this guy and we were very high on his potential. He tweeted after he committed to Texas, or I believe, no, it was last year, that I will be a first-round pick, God willing. That just shows you the potential, and NFL scouts love him. Luckily, Nick, he has 2 years of eligibility, so even if he needs another year on the 40 acres, I believe he could be like a first, second, or maybe third-round pick at the absolute highest if he maximizes his potential. So I'm really excited for this. Another guy I want to talk about is Ian Griffard from Arkansas. He's an over-the-ball guy, which is very important, a nose tackle position in the Will Muschamp defense. He can get off blocks. Think of him as a Keandre Coburn, T'Vondre Sweat type of player. He is going to be the anchor for our defense because we know the SEC loves to run the football. He is going to be the number one guy we have to stop the run, as long as with Justice Terry. So just in general, Nick, let's talk about some of the guys coming back. So Derek Williams announced his intention to come back. Jelani McDonald announced his intention to come back, as well as Trevor Gooseby. What does that tell you? Because all these guys enter the transfer portal, that they're willing to come back to this Texas team.
I think it's another all-in thing. I mean, I think obviously the grass isn't always greener, so you don't always know what can be offered, especially in this day and age, in terms of money, in terms of playing time, in terms of promises. I mean, it's like that for anybody leaving for a different job or leaving for a different apartment, anything like that. You don't really know. What you do know is what you've already experienced at that school. And for them, it might not be that bad. You go, okay, all right. At least I know I'm here and here on the depth chart. Or, oh, we got a chance to compete. I might not be making the money that I want to be making, but I'm here. I'm at a great school. I'm at a great coach. I trust all that. I know everybody. I don't need to leave. And I know that Sark has made comments before. It's unclear. It seems like he's kind of like changed his method on this, but he's talked about where if a guy puts his name in the portal, we're done with them. And that makes sense. And I think he adjusts that to when he needs to. Obviously, like if a guy like, I don't know, like a Wingo or something like that did that, and then he was like, well, I changed my mind, I'm going to come back. I'm sure he would open him up with open arms. I think it just depends on the guy. And I think you need to have that sort of dictation when you do that, because you can't just let everybody come back. like the Isaac Brown from Louisville, because that could be
Yeah.
a little weird where you're flaunting your name out. And players got to be careful because we've seen 2 guys threaten to be sued. There's this dude from Duke who's quarterback who's getting sued because he's taking all these suitors after you sign the dotted line. So
Mensa. Yeah.
It's definitely weird. It's definitely a weird time, and you got to be careful. So I think Sark's like, well, I think depending on who you are, maybe we'll let you back in. Did you get along with everybody? Did you have a good rapport with everybody? How much did you put your name out there? Are you taking a lot of meetings? Okay. You just were upset about this, that, and the other. I think it's something that can be negotiated, and you're not just letting everybody fly out because then you lose control and everybody would be leaving and it'd be chaos. But I think it's good that he said that. And I think it's just the sky's up from here. I think it's a crazy time of football right now that needs to be orchestrated a little bit better because it is fun. It is like free agency, but I mean, you would text me or I would text you basically every day. I'm like, oh, so-and-so is transferring. Oh, we got somebody. Oh, great. Oh, but they're leaving. And it's kind of messy. And I think I know Dan Lanning has talked about it and I think he does a great job. Maybe, you should ask him because his schedule made a lot of sense to me. And I feel like we cater a lot to the NFL. And this is what Dan was saying. You cater a lot to the NFL and we don't need to cater to the NFL, right? The NFL is its own thing. I think you need to create your own schedule so there's not all these awkward moments like with Lane Kiffin. Now, part of that was him, but part of that was also the schedule. And I think that is what makes everything messy. The money thing with the NIL needs to be cleaned up. But we're all for guys getting their money. It's just there just needs to be more rules and stipulations because right now it's just kind of a mess.
Well, yeah, so you were talking about that Duke quarterback. That was a good point that you brought about the whole contract. What about that guy from Washington, Desmond
I know.
Williams?
He's the other one, right.
He actually signed a physical
contract. His agent left him.
Yes, his agent left him, and then he was going to go visit LSU. He wanted to go to LSU, but then Washington was like, we're not letting you out. You signed a contract.
Is there tampering involved?
Oh,
that hasn't been reported.
Oh, definitely.
But, that's why it's a little weird. It's like there needs to be more rules and regulations because these are also 18 to 20, well, now maybe a little older, 23-year-old kids. So you got to have some more regulations here. We know you're going to tamper. It's like the NBA. We know LeBron was probably tampering with Wade, but, you got to clamp down on a little bit more so at least there's some sort of process. It feels like it's just no process and, we'll penalize you, but not you.
No, it's uneven. They let the genie out of the bottle, and now it's hard to get the genie back in the bottle. I'm all for players trying to transfer. Of course, not like TJ Finley transferring to 6 different schools.
He needs to be done.
Hang it up. That guy needs to be
hang it
done.
up. Pablo would be different because he actually has played well. But there's another one out there that's played forever that is just bro.
Exactly. So it's just ridiculous. And then if you signed a contract, you have to honor that contract. And the school should not be good for Washington for holding their ground and saying, you signed that. Because otherwise, that kid most likely would have been at LSU right now with Lane Kiffin. And who knows where Sam Levitt would have been because Sam Levitt signed after that. It's just very confusing.
I mean, you and I have jobs. I mean, we can't – you have to – that's your job. You show up and I can't just go, I'm just going to go take this thing. It's a process to get that, removed and to move on and to do something else. You can't just I'm going to sign this and now I'm going to go take another job. That's just not how it works.
And it hurts your marketing. Think about what the Washington fans now think of Desmond Williams now. They loved it last year. And then the Duke fans now, it's just
weird. It's weird.
Players are all about self-image and branding, which they should be.
Problem.
But now you have to be careful with some of the moves you make. You got to think more than just that moment. You got to think long-term because that's where the NIL opportunities kind of come and go.
I think you've seen the benefit of that for some guys that have stayed. Arch Manning is going to get money no matter where he gets just because of his last name, honestly, but also because of his play. The kid's been balling out. So but he stayed. And there's other examples of guys that have stayed or waited their turn and may become more team guys, which makes this whole Indiana thing so amazing because I know everyone wants to shit on it a little bit because they're 22 and 24 years old and they're older. They're kind of like an NFL team built that way.
Are.
They played within the rules of the game. So Maybe more rules and regulations will come out with that. I doubt within age restrictions, like, oh, he can't be over 23 years old or something like that. I doubt that, but you're right. Like, it's kind of hard to win a championship when you have a lot of guys that are about me, me, me. But you have to remember the long goal for these elite players, like these 5 stars, like a Cam Coleman, like a Jeremiah Smith, like an Arch Manning,
Go to the NFL.
Is the NFL, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm me, 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 that's a little bit of a red flag. That would be a red flag for me if I'm Isaac Brown's teammate. Like, that's a little weird. Like, to put your name, and we have some players like that. Like, that's why Sark has to be careful of, all right, I guess you can come back. Like, it's weird. And it's not even an NFL draft thing. That would be different. Like, I'm Quinn Ewers. Let me put my name out there and, oh, it's not great. All right, I'll come back. Like, that's way different. This is like, it's like, you know, you have a girlfriend and, you know, you're flirting with another one. Like, it's, oh, I'm going to go with her and wait, I want to get back with you. And wait, there's this one other one over here. Like, it's totally a mess for some of these players. And they're messing up the idea of like, the Ravens are going to draft me. Like, that's kind of a big deal. And no one cares about your ego unless you are Lamar or you are Josh Allen or Mahomes. Like, other than that, you are just a guy in the NFL. So I think eventually it'll work itself out. Like, but the NCAA has been kind of cruddy for a while now. So hopefully it gets itself worked out because it's a mess right now.
No, it is a mess. And I don't think the NCAA just washed their hands with it because they're like, we're going to get sued anyways, whatever happens, because of our unethical practice.
Exactly.
Unethical practices in the past. So why are we going to
create
guardrails? Like, why would we create guardrails now when we're going to get sued again? I hope the 5 years to play 4 years gets enacted now, because then that means Pavia, the people like Pavia or Trinidad Chambliss, as much as I like them as players, I hate to say it, there's no business they should be getting 6 years. That's just my opinion.
Or 7. Some like it's just Finley, I think he's going for 7. Like, this is insane.
It's just ridiculous. Carson Beck, another 6th year. He was 6th year last year. Like, it's ridiculous. TJ Finley, another guy. Malachi Nelson, you said earlier, another guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. We need to, because
half those guys aren't even playing.
I know
Bobby and Trinidad are playing.
I know with the scholarship rules now going from to 105 scholarships, you know, that may create some more opportunities for those guys, but also it takes away some young, underrated recruits that have turned out to be really good players.
That's less for Miami.
Yeah, that's less spots for them. So I just don't get it. I think that should be better. But just before we wrap up, I just wanted to give a quick grade for Texas's portal class. I'm going to give it an A-. Only reason I couldn't give it an A+ is, in my opinion, we still need another guard or maybe 2 guards. Like, we could use a couple more offensive guards. That's just my opinion. I think we could have attacked offensive line a little bit better. We went a couple of times to our 2nd and 3rd options, even though Skoworski and Siani are really good players. They're going to have an impact. But I like the way that they got the skill position players taken care of with the running backs and Cam Coleman. Just the only reason I can't give it an A+ is I think we could have gotten 1 to 2 more offensive linemen, and then we could still use 1 more edge and maybe 1 more secondary player, in my opinion, because we're a little bit thin at those positions going into next year. But now, you know, the market now opens for grad transfers. That's the next opening. And then you never know. Miami and Indiana players still now have 5 full days to either put their names in the portal and then to elect to go to another school. So let's see who opens up in the portal. But that's the only reason. But I give Texas's portal class an A-. What is your grade? Do you agree with that?
I agree with you. I'm going an A. Like, just a little bit, I guess a little bit above you, I guess, technically. So, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I think they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I completely understand your point, and I'm with you with the guards. Yeah, I think that's going to be most people's concern. But I think coming into the portal, it was offensive line, it was running back. Can we get that big-time guy in Cam Coleman? And most of that, you could say, yeah. I mean, there was some offensive line that we did get, some more developmental pieces. We got the running back. You get the big-ticket item in Coleman. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's a great job. And again, there could be other guys in the mix here. You know,
you never know.
It could be maybe a guy from Miami or Indiana, but we're pretty much done here. This is going to be the majority of the roster. There's going to be more development that needs to be happening anyways, but this is already a freakishly talented roster, like a Georgia, like a Bama, like an LSU.
Mm-hmm.
We're talented. Like, that's not the question. The development's not the question. I don't really have any questions. It's just, can we put it all together? And
I agree with that.
And that's the only thing. I mean, I don't think we're at a point now as a Texas fan where we're like, oh God, is this 8-5? Oh God, is this 7-5 again? Like, oh crud. Like, no, we've had the talent, we've got the coach. It's all right. I'm not even worried, like, oh, we're never gonna win a title. Like, we are, it's gonna happen. Like, people are now questioning Kirby. Like, Kirby's overrated, this, that, and the other. Like, he's a great coach. Like, I think we get so caught up in the moment. One team wins a championship every year. 2 teams make the game. So 12 teams make the playoff. I get that. But for a program that's been in it 2 years, back-to-back semifinals, literally a couple plays away from being in it, it's hard to be upset. Like, I think we're knocking on the door. Georgia did it for years before they went back-to-back. And now they're kind of like not where they want to be. So you can always be frustrated, but I think we're right there. I think we're so close to winning a championship. I'm hoping when we do a preview predictions in July, I don't pick us to win a championship because it's kind of like a superstition that I can't pick us to win it. So I'm hoping I remember that and I pick maybe, I don't know, even Indiana to go back-to-back. But in my head, I'm like, maybe. But even if we don't win in 2027, I mean,
there hasn't been a repeat champion, so it's
there is
wide
going to
open.
be another quarterback, and we're building and we're in the right direction. We're not, you don't need to worry. So I think it's gonna be another fun year in the next,
yes,
8 months that we have
definitely.
to wait.
We're still one of the best teams in the country. I saw a poll, that early poll. We're number 2 right now in the way too early championship odds. I'm not going to pick Indiana to win the championship next year.
I wouldn't either. I'd probably pick Ohio State.
There's not a team that could do that, and I'm not going to be. We'll see. I may not be as high on Georgia. I need to see more from Kirby Smart in the postseason.
Yeah.
Like, he's not. Is he becoming a regular? Is he becoming a regular season coach? Is he a postseason coach
regular
anymore?
Season merchant.
Like, I don't know. But just back to the portal class. What I'm most impressed with the Sark and the staff was the way that they pivoted, because we were losing guys left and right when portal first started. We're starting like, oh no, like what's going to happen? They pivoted. They got to really good players that are going to be high impact players that fit our culture, fit our scheme. And I just think that with the offensive line, I just don't want a repeat from last year where we felt confident about them, then they had the struggles that they had. I just don't want that to be happen again. But I have faith in the staff. They've not disappointed us so far. Let's see, because maybe they can get some more offensive line, or they're grooming some of the young guys. So I'm very interested to see about that. And speaking of the young guys, that is going to be the topic of our next episode. The 2026 freshman class is officially on campus. I believe all but one are enrolled in school early, I believe. So they're all good. They're all there participating in winter workouts, going to be there for spring practice. Me and Nick are going to go through the whole semester, through the whole recruiting class, tell you which guys we like, which guys, we think can be really good players for us. So that's going to be our next episode. We're talking about some basketball, men's and women's. The men's have a big game tonight against Kentucky on the road. They need to get back on track after losing to A&M on Saturday. That was a disappointing loss. But thank you so much for watching this episode of Touchdown Texas. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching, be sure to support us. Go that extra mile. Hit that likes button. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. But until then, see you next time, and hook 'em.